Good day, my name is Angelo. This is Nation Voices Tower, your most preferred YouTube channel, the same hub where we let out lots of exposés on what bothers the masses as it regards to governance and the political, let's say, the political hurdles and the political potholes that we experience as Nigerians, and also how the system of governance affects the welfare of the masses. We don't only stop in Nigeria, we touch parts of Africa and other parts of the world. Thanks for joining us. The People's Democratic Party's presidential candidate in the previous general elections, Atiku Abulbakar, former vice president, has called out Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, whom he has not always been pleased with. This time around, Atiku Abulbakar has called out Bola Tinubu over the recent scandal involving the ex-Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Betta Edu. Now, from Atiku's own perspective, he feels that Bola Ahmed Tinubu has done well by suspending the minister, the erring minister. But there was something he said about Bola Tinubu in that statement that I feel I should share with you. Now, in this particular documentary, I'll be telling you how Atiku Abulbakar hit back at Bola Ahmed Tinubu over the Betta Edu scandal, and then in this particular documentary, Atiku castigated and criticized Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration over putting politics over competence. He feels that Bola Ahmed Tinubu chose politics over competence, right, by appointing ministers like Dr. Betta Edu and Mr. Olatunji, and all those people that have been caught in this recent scandal of misplaced funds. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abulbakar, has asked President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to fish out others who have remotely benefited from all financial transactions involving the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. The former vice president, who called for reforms of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, added that it was not only the suspended minister, Betta Edu, who was involved in the transactions. This was contained in a statement by his special assistant, Public Communication, Frank Shuaibu, on Tuesday, affirming that Tinubu had put politics ahead of competence by appointing Betta Edu as minister in the first place. According to him, he said, while Tinubu deserves commendation for suspending Betta Edu, we believe this is a belated move. First, he had no business appointing her as a minister of such a sensitive ministry in the first place. Tinubu put politics ahead of competence, hence this scandal. What experience did Betta Edu have in the development sector? How did the chief of staff to the president, Femi Gbajabiamila, stand as Betta Edu's referee during her clearance at the Senate? Betta Edu should not be the fall guy. Others who have remotely and wickedly benefited from money that was meant for poor Nigerians ought to be fished out, probed and prosecuted too. It is demonic and tenaciously wicked to steal in the name of the poor. There is a need for the government to reform the Humanitarian Affairs Ministry and other interventionist programs that had become an ATM and POS for those in power. The fact that the previous Humanitarian Affairs Minister, Sadia Umaru Farouk, is also being probed for 37 billion naira fraud was evidence that immediate and urgent actions need to be taken to reform the ministry. Even during the COVID-19 lockdown, Sadia Farouk continued to implement the school feeding program. She ridiculously claimed that the food will be delivered to the students at home since schools were shut. Today, Betta Edu claims that over 3 million households got 20,000 naira each during the Yuletide. Sadly, there is no evidence of millions of Nigerians getting such money. This shows that the money has just been going into private pockets. The scandal that we are contending with is not about Betta Edu, nor about Halima Shehu, or any other person for that matter. It is about a problem of systemic corruption through which the APC continues to bleed the treasury. ironically asphyxiating the poor and vulnerable segments of the country, all in the name of caring for them. The APC has weaponized poverty and hunger to control the minds of the vulnerable masses, and it's even worse that they have devised a method to use poverty as an instrument of official corruption. Yeah, and we wouldn't stop there. Atiku Abulbakar is a partisan, and obviously he needs to react to this recent development in the administration of Bola Tinubu. Peter Obi has reacted, Atiku Abulbakar has now reacted. Alright, so if you ask me, I will tell you that this could have happened to anybody, but I will still categorically state with no equivocation that there is a way, there are lots of laid down or stipulated rules that are actually there to help you make appointments. You don't just dash appointments to people, you know, you don't just give appointments to people because you want to recognize youth into your administration. Alright, Dr. Betta Edu has no track record of being a competent hand to handle a ministry as busy as that of the humanitarian affairs and poverty alleviation. Okay, what has she done over time? What has her track record said? In fact, history, according to sources from her days in Calabar, Cross River State, when she was given 1 or 2 parastatals to hold or 1 or 2 committees to head, she was found wanting, especially one which had her, or a case which had her embezzling over $1.5 million. Alright, so if you check their track records, then how on earth will you call out somebody like Betta Edu to head of all ministries, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation? Okay, in fact, from our own findings, her first 2 weeks in office, she embezzled the COVID-19 funds. And then she had a plan to embezzle over 60 billion naira in the space of 1 year. Oh, how far did she want to enrich herself? I don't know if you get my point, alright? So I would love to say here that in as much as Bola Tinubu is trying to fix his flaws by suspending this particular minister, he shouldn't have even appointed her in the first place. She has no track record. She has no reason whatsoever to be found in a busy and a very crucial ministry as that of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. Alright, so he has the mistake and he should clean his flaws, or he should clean his mess, because Nigerians ain't going to take it lightly. Don't forget, this expose was brought forward and made public by lots of concerned Nigerians. Alright, and that is why I feel I should applaud the government just 1%. I'm not applauding them more than 1%. I'm applauding them just for 1% for adhering to the masses and seeing to it that this expose went further and even brought in the anti-graft agencies to take or to act, alright, or to take action, alright. So I would support Atiku Abulbakar in this particular notion for calling out Bola Tinubu for choosing politics over competence. That is the worst decision you could take as a politician, choosing loyalty and politics over competence. I once told you that Asiwaju Bola Tinubu is that kind of person who chooses loyalty and politics over competence. Now, still on the Betta Edu case, civil society organizations, I don't know if these ones have been paid or if they have received money, because the reason why they call this press conference will shock you. Do you know why they call this press conference? This civil society organization, in quotes, quote and unquote, allegedly have saluted the Minister of Interior, Olatunji Ojo, and his performance over time, and they have demanded a second choice for Dr. Betta Edu, somebody who has been called out for embezzling funds, stealing public money, and they have applauded Bola Tinubu for inculcating youth into his administration. I will not say much on this, but watch this video, hear what they had to say. You would laugh and you would get angry. But after the video, I will tell you what I think about this this alleged civil society organization, unquote.
In less than 3 months, Honorable Tunji Ojo has shown uncommon brilliance and exceptional capacity with amazing achievement as the Interior Minister within such a very short time frame. From available and verified record before the National Civil Society Council of Nigeria, the Minister has almost completed put an end to the overbearing, semantic profiteering by some predator that saw Nigerians continually parting with each thousand just to procure international passports, which has now been reduced to BRS minimum with blockage of many loopholes in less than 3 weeks. We only want all of you to be aware that issues burden around our humanitarians are linked with so many other persons. And I am believing that we have a lot of us here who will also be able to expatiate more details about the reason whereby we should not keep dragging more people into it and allow this one to go, so that as the investigation is going on, if there is anybody that is culpable of an act that is against the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and that is against the financial regulation or whatsoever, we urge Mr. President to decisively deal with such person, either being a political appointee or a civil servant. But we don't need a campaign of calumny whereby everybody that is presumed to be alleged for participating or not will all be sacked. So automatically, if we are to go by that route, we will every day be calling for the sack of every ministers, calling for the sack of every MDA's head, and also calling for the sack of every National Assembly member.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is still Nation Voice Tower. Those people in that video, if you ask me, I don't think they are civil society organizations. Even if they are, I think they just came up a few days ago. Which organization in Nigeria would applaud Bola Tinubu and ask him to give Betta Edu a second chance? Are there no other competent Nigerians out there? Is Betta Edu the most competent person to handle the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs? Obviously, she has shown how wrong she is for being appointed. And you're asking for a second chance when it has to do with public funds, and you're claiming to be a CSO, a civil society organization. Really? Is that what civil society organizations now stand for? Asking for second chance for thieves, criminals in the government? Is that how it is done? And then everybody should have a second chance, of course. Yes, we should call the Alice in Madway case, the Patricia Etes. We should call on the Sadia Umaru Farouks. Okay, we should call on the Doyin Okupes and the people who were involved in the arms deal. Okay, we should call them back to take back their positions. All the corrupt people that have been indicted. Okay, we should call on the former Minister of Mineral Resources that is in jail now. Call him out. Give him a second chance. Yes. We should call other people. In fact, let's call President Muhammadu Buhari. Give him a second chance. Let's call Sabir Tunde Yusuf. Give him a second chance. Of course, to be a personal assistant. Yes, let's call Alhaji Lawan, the former Senate President. Give him a second chance. No, why not? That is what the civil society organization are asking us to do, for crying out loud. When will we learn in this country? When are we going to learn from our mistakes? You're asking a government that is shaky to give a second chance to someone who embezzled public funds glaringly. Even if the EFCC find her not guilty, I am not a party to that. Because we have seen evidences, and there is no how whatsoever she's going to convince Nigerians that she didn't embezzle these funds. If they cannot go with the documents that are as evidences, then what of the video evidences? Okay, so we can't say we would write this off. This civil society organization should be quickly investigated. Let them tell us where they are coming from and what they have been paid to do. Yes. Finally, fighting corruption in the country has taken another dimension. All right. The masses have now taken it upon themselves to expose any alien ministry or any airing parastatal or agency, both through social media or through public speech or any other means. This was how Betta Edu was exposed. Now, speaking on this, you notice over time that Nigerians are now feeding the government with information. Something the government will have done by themselves. They are now feeding the government with information about what is happening in the country. The government really think that they are everything, but Nigerians are really taking it upon themselves to feed them with lots of information, alright? Now, if the government fail to act just like what they have been doing over time, the Betta Edu's case is just one out of many. If they fail to act, I think there will be no more option than for Nigerians to go to the courts if there are credibility in the courts, or to take to the streets for a revolution. Now, speaking on this, I have a very, very fast explanation from Femi Falana, who is also a human activist and a senior advocate of Nigeria.
And some of the findings, although, I mean, they leaked and came out, maybe not official yet, but they're mind-boggling about what was going on in the CBN. And recently, some of the decisions of the president earlier this year, one would think maybe Bola Tinubu is doing the right thing in terms of gaining the confidence of the Nigerian people. Do you think so?
Well, for me, in fighting corruption, there isn't much to expect from the government in fighting corruption anywhere in the world. It is the duty of the people, led by the media, to expose corruption in this country. Before the EFCC and ICPC and the rest of them were established, corruption was fought in Nigeria, particularly in the 70s under the Yakubu Gowon regime, when it was a case of, if you dabble me, I attack you. All you needed to do then was, if you had the information, you go to a court to file an affidavit, alleging corruption on the part of certain officials. And from there, the press will pick it up and feast on it until the officer involved call it quits with the government. We must go back to that era. Everywhere in the world, governments are all about secrecy. They keep records. They don't want people to know what is going on. But I think in the case of Nigeria, we have enough laws now to expose corruption, to fight corruption. It is the duty of Nigerians to bring out the information. It is the duty of the media to expose corruption. And then we expect the government to react. And that is what is going on already under the Bola Tinubu administration. Nigerians are coming out with facts and figures. Nigerians are feeding the government with information, and the government is expected to act. And if the government will not act, the people can be mobilized to compel the government to act, either by going to court or going to the street. This country cannot afford to continue in the old ways. It can no longer be business as usual. And that is the message Nigerians are passing across to the government.
Thank you so much, Mr. Falana. I really appreciate your time tonight. I understand that you and some of your colleagues may be planning a mega political party. I don't know how far your involvement in that. If that's true.
We're planning a revolutionary party, not a mega party, a revolutionary party that will put the question of ideology, socialism in the front burner.
I wish you the very best. We look forward to that. Maybe some of those who will join are listening to you tonight. Do you have a name for it? Is it Falana Revolutionary Party, or what would you call it?
No. I'm just going to be a member. Okay. Unlike bourgeois parties, we do not decide the name, before the party is born.
All right. Thank you so much.
Femi Falana, on that one, he is somebody who is always controversial if you know him. He has stood for Nigerians, voiceless Nigerians over time, and he has also stood for himself, and he has taken some sides in different cases in Nigeria that have pushed him or have portrayed him to be controversial. But this time around, I am with Femi Falana 100%, because what he's saying there is actually the issue. If the government have failed to act on the intel that have been given to them by Nigerians alike then there is no other way to do it than a pending revolution, right? The Dr. Betta Edu's case will be one out of many that would have the government act. Now, people are calling for the suspension of the Minister of Interior, Olatunji Ojo, because of his involvement in the 438 million that was wired to his company, a company he jointly owns with Dr. Betta Edu. People are also calling for the suspension of Femi Gbadabiamila, the Chief of Staff, because of his involvement in this same issue. Now, let me talk on the Femi Gbadabiamila case, alright? Why will the Chief of Staff of the government stand for or stand as a shorty for a ministerial appointee? How? Where does it happen? Okay, did you know that while Dr. Betta Edu faced the Senate screening committee, her shorty in front of the Senate committee was Femi Gbadabiamila. That means he was actually instrumental to her appointment as minister. And that confirms that part where he was alleged to have received over 125 million naira in that deal that has indicted Betta Edu. Why is he still working freely? Is it because he's covered by immunity? So Femi Falana has said it right. If the government would not use the information at their disposal by the masses, then the only reason or the only solution will be a pending revolution. We can't go to the courts anymore because the courts have shown us their less credibility. Alright, so the only option left is a pending revolution. The government should mark this. The government should be careful of things that will come up from now. If the needful is not done, then Nigerians will have no option. Thank you so much for staying this far. Please like, share our videos. Drop lots of comments for us in the comment section if you feel you have something different and if you feel you have suggestions to what we do here. And please, if you're watching me for the first time, please tap the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so that you get to see me promptly when I drop a new update. See you next time from my tables. Bye.